Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the council meeting for Monday, January 8th, 2024 to order. If you would all please for this Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to have a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Mr. Sabosley, if you please do a roll call.
Mr. Dern.
Here.
Mr. Majernik. Here. Mr. Purcell.
Here.
Ms. Rossler.
Here.
Mr. Schlock.
Here.
Mr. Seitz.
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Mayor Schlegel is absent. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Sabosley. I need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of December 2023. I have a motion by Mr. Taylor. And I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the expenses for the month of December 2023. I have a motion by Mr. Seitz, so I have a second. I have a second by Mr. Schlock. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the December 13th, 2023 council meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Taylor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Mr. Majernik. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Recognition of achievements in the community. I have 3 proclamations that I am going to read in the absence of our dear beloved mayor. Is Miss Katie Rodia here? Come on up. And Aaron Shepard. She's not here either. And then Pam Popko. I know she's sick with COVID. Okay. Whereas one of the greatest actions a person can do is save the life of another human being. And whereas Plum Boro recognizes and values heroism and acts of courage by citizens, and whereas on December 6th, 2023, there was a medical emergency at John Anthony's restaurant, whereby a gentleman collapsed on the floor, and whereas unfortunately there were 3 individuals who sprang in action, one of whom was Katie Rodia, a nurse who along with the others immediately began clearing the floor and turned it into a triage area to administer CPR. And whereas due to their quick and decisive action, the individual was revived, conscious, and stabilized when Plum EMS arrived and transported the individual to the hospital. And whereas Katie Rodia and the others decidedly avoided a tragedy and therefore are honored for quick thinking, caring, and above all else, professionalism during the time of a crisis. And whereas by her actions and those of the other individuals proves once again that there really are heroes who live and walk among us. Now, therefore, I, Paul Dern, or Harry Schlegel, Mayor, along with Plum Council, congratulate and honor Katie Rodia for her professionalism and selflessness. And we hereby thank her for her act of compassion and bravery in saving the life and avoiding a tragedy. Thank you very much. We will reach back out to Aaron Shepard and Pam Popko when she gets over COVID to have them come and have this read too. And I have another one for Mr. Greg Renko. whereas one of the greatest actions a person can do is save the life of another human being. And whereas Plum Boro recognizes and values heroism and acts of courage by citizens, and whereas on August 12th, 2023, the Rustic Ridge neighborhood suffered a tragic and horrific house explosion that took the lives of 6 residents and destroyed or damaged countless other homes. And whereas Craig Renko quickly, selflessly, and bravely put his own life in the way of all danger to run into the burning pile to find any surviving victims. And whereas Greg was able to locate and pull Paul Orovitz from the destruction, giving Paul a fighting chance to survive, and also giving his children an opportunity to see him and say their goodbyes. And whereas after finding and pulling Paul out, Greg continued searching additional homes for people who were injured or trapped, and he was able to locate a woman who was trapped in a burning house and got her to safety before the house collapsed. And whereas in the following days, weeks, and months since the August 12th tragedy, Greg has put his own life on hold to ensure the safety and well-being of all Rustic Ridge residents, doing such thing as facilitating food deliveries for nearly 800 people who were without basic utilities, and bringing together the families to begin the healing process together. And whereas through great tragedy comes true leadership and character, it has been extremely evident to the residents of Rustic Ridge that Greg Renko has shown amazing character, leadership, selflessness, and honor for his neighbors and our community. Whereas on this date, January 8th, 2024, the Borough of Plum and all of our community wish to pay respect and honor to Greg Renko for his bravery and community service directed towards this community. Now therefore, I, Paul Dern, or Harry Schlegel, the mayor, along with Plum Council, congratulate and honor Craig Renko for his bravery and selflessness. We hereby thank him for his act of compassion and bravery in saving a life. Once again, as the mayor always says, it's astonishing the people of this community, how in a time of need they come together and they truly are heroes. And we really appreciate what you've done. So moving on, any civic announcements? Okay, I don't have any comments. Citizens' comments on agenda items? Anyone to come forward and speak? Okay, we'll move right into council actions. Oh, yeah, if you guys would like to get up and leave, feel free. If you want to sit here.
Out of here.
Well, that's usually what happens. So go ahead, we can hold on a minute.
We're not wanted, okay.
Oh, hey, if you want to stay and witness what goes on, you're more than welcome.
Have a great night.
Okay, we're going to move on to council actions. Mr. Majernik, on behalf of Planning and Economic Development, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 974-23, approving the Russo Preliminary Final Land Subdivision Plan FSC-04-23, lot and block 852-C-389, as recommended by staff and the borough engineer with the conditions outlined in the resolution.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to adopt Resolution 975-23, approving the revised Form Group Company's preliminary final land development plan, SP-02-23, lot and block 532-E-58, as recommended by the Planning Commission with the conditions outlined in the resolution.
Okay, I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to enact ordinance 977-24, accepting the dedication of Parkside Phase 1 from Showcase Properties.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Majernik. On behalf of Personnel and Management, Mr. Seitz, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to reappoint Ryan Wooten to the Civil Service Commission for a 6-year term expiring on December 31st, 2029.
I have a motion by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? A second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to accept the resignation of Joe Ditka from the Civil Service Commission effective immediately.
I have a motion by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Mr. Schlock. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to appoint Thomas Oslick to the Civil Service Commission to fulfill an unexpired term ending December 31st, 2026.
I have a motion by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
It was second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? Motion carries. Oh, I'm sorry. We got to vote first. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to appoint Joe Ditka as an alternate to the Civil Service Commission to fulfill an unexpired term ending December 31st, 2025.
I have a motion by Mr. Seitz on the floor. Do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to appoint Jeter Sloan to the Planning Commission for a 4-year term ending on December 31st, 2027.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
Second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to appoint Ryan Delaney to the Planning Commission to fulfill an unexpired term ending on December 31st, 2025.
I have a motion on the floor by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
You have a second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I notice that Mr. Delaney is in the audience. I'd just like to congratulate him.
Yes, congratulations, Mr. Delaney. It's good to
Do
see
a
you.
fine job on the sort of Planning Commission. Moving on, I move to reappoint Melan McCutcheon to the Library Board for a 3-year term ending on December 31st, 2026.
I have a motion by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to appoint Alex Kozora to the Library Board for a 3-year term ending on December 31st, 2026.
I have a motion by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Schlock. Do any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to reappoint Keith Nowak to the Municipal Authority Board for a 5-year term ending on December 31st, 2028.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I also see Mr. Nowak's in the audience tonight, so.
Keith, congratulations. I didn't see you there.
I move to reappoint Bill Benora to the Municipal Authority Board for a 5-year term ending on December 31st, 2028.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
You have a second.
I have a second by Mr. Purcell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move,
Mr. Benora's here too.
oh,
Congratulations, Mr. Benora.
Thank you, everyone. We have a lot to do. Thank
He's
you.
hiding.
I'm not, Gary sat down.
I move to appoint Alan Ayers to the zoning hearing board for a 5-year term ending on December 31st, 2028.
I have a motion by Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Mr. Schlock. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
I move to appoint Linda Wilkins to the zoning hearing board to fulfill an unexpired term ending on December 31st, 2027.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. McJernick. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to appoint Andrew Novick to the zoning hearing board as an alternate for a 3-year term ending on December 31st, 2026.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to appoint Larry Malick to the vacancy board for a 1-year term ending on December 31st, 2024.
I have a motion from Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. McJernick. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to approve a contract with Buchanan, Ingersoll, and Rooney for consulting services.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Mr. Schlock. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to approve a cost of living increase for a retired police officer as recommended by the Borough Actuary.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to approve a 4-year collective bargaining agreement from 2024 to 2027 with the Teamsters Local 205.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. McJernick. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
My last motion of the night, but the most important one, I move to approve an employment agreement with Borough Manager David Sabosley.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Seitz. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Mr. Taylor. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. That's all my motions for tonight, Mr. Chairman. Hopefully I'll have
Seitz.
more next month.
Mr. Seitz, I thank you. On behalf of the Public Safety Committee, Ms. Rossler.
Thank you. I move to establish a new police civil service list as recommended by the Civil Service Commission.
I have a motion on the floor from Ms. Rossler. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. McJernick. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Rossler. Mr. Taylor, you have none. Mr. Schlock, you have none. So we move to Mr. Purcell on the roads, equipment, and grounds.
Thank you. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, I move to authorize the advertisement of bids for the 2024 street paving program.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Purcell. Do I have a second?
I'd like to
Second.
I have a
second with some discussion, Paul.
Oh, yes.
I'd just like for, perhaps Mr. Purcell could expand on the street paving program, what that's all about.
Thank you. As of right now, the following roads.
You turned it off. There you go.
As of right now, the following roads are scheduled for resurfacing in 2024. It would include Abers Creek Road, Miller's Lane, Francis Road, Scott Road, Roberts Road, Clements Road, Palmer Road, Fox Road, Clymer Drive, Mardi Gras Drive, Nassau Drive, Samoa Drive, Havana Drive, Paris Drive, and Entrance Drive. There's also the tar and chip program, which will include the roads of Ross Hollow Road, Harris Road, and Clements Road. This will be for a total of 9.98 miles of roadway.
So the only other comment I'll add to that is that those last three, the tar and chip program, those are being bid as ad alternates. So depending where the bids come in, They may be accepted or rejected by council. I want to say last year we bid an ad alternate. We were lucky that the base amount came in low. We're hoping the same thing happens this year and that we can take all of those. But just for budgetary purposes, if the numbers are too high with both the base bid and the ad alternate, we can cross off the ad alternate and move it out to next year, and we don't have to rebid the whole contract. So hopefully the numbers come in low.
And how much are we spending on the roads each year?
We've about $1 million. I think if you look back over the last 2 years, I think last year we were at about $1,046,000. The year before we were slightly under $900,000.
Yes.
So we budget about $1 million a year, and hopefully we fall in that range.
Dave, when do we usually know when the bids are all in and done? Is it like around March?
We're hoping at the February meeting of council. I was talking with Mr. Prokopik today about the bid, and we're working on this. Staff has been working on with the engineer all through last summer and fall on this to get these ready. So we're pretty much ready to go.
Any further discussion? So I had a second by Mr. Seitz. We had discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I move to authorize the advertisement of bids for the demolition contract for 4575 New Texas Road.
I have a motion on the floor from Mr. Purcell. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Mr. Taylor. Any discussion?
That's grant money also, correct? Dave?
Yes, we received a LSA grant last year in the amount of $250,000. So we've already gone through, the buildings are empty, and we have about $1,200 worth of asbestos abatement, which we were lucky to, we didn't get hit hard on that. Hopefully the bids come in low.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
And last, I move to accept the engineering proposals submitted by the borough's traffic engineer for the Green Light Go projects.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have a second by Mr. Bajornik. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That concludes council actions, and we will move to, I do not have a mayor's report, and we go to the committee reports. For the intergovernmental, I reached out to Ms. Anderson, who's president of the school board, and I haven't received an answer back yet. So Mr. Schlock, Finance Committee, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. President. Thanks, Mr. President. The borough recognized revenues totaling $814,372 and incurred expenditures in the amount of $2,037,258 in the month of December. A total of $72,434 was received under current year real estate tax revenues, which is 96% of the budget. The borough received $410,603 under earned income tax revenues, and we are favorable to budget by approximately $499,000. Through the month of December, the borough expended 106% of the budget, or approximately $15.74 million. The 2023 independent audit is scheduled to begin on January 10th and will be performed by Mayor Dussel.
Thank you, Mr. Schlock. We move on to Mr. Purcell with roads, equipment, and grants.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Renton Park Phase 3 project has been completed and the contractor has requested final payment. KU Resources found a small amount of asbestos in the former borough building that will be needed to be remediated. Bids will be solicited for the demolition of that property. The tree removal and grading has begun at the Renton dump site. The retention pond has been installed and erosion blankets will be installed according to the accepted plans. Leaf pickup continued through December 8th. It was an additional week beyond the scheduled end date. The remaining road salt that was ordered as part of the 2023 contractual obligation has been delivered. And the preventive maintenance and state inspections were completed on 9 pieces of equipment and trucks, 11 police vehicles, and 1 administrative vehicle.
That's it.
That concludes that report.
Thank you, Mr. Purcell. We move on to public safety with Ms. Rossler.
Thank you, Mr. Dern, Mr. President. Oops. Thank you. To start off, I will be attending my first meeting with all the fire chiefs this month. Just for people that don't know, the departments meet monthly. I also, along with Mr. Slock and Mr. Purcell, will be visiting Logan's Ferry Fire Department, and that's to have a one-on-one with the Chief, Stephen Marsh. And in the next couple of weeks, I will be reaching out to Unity, Holiday Park, and Renton to schedule more one-on-ones. I will also be meeting with Mr. Brian Maloney with Plum EMS sometime this month. With that being said, Mr. Maloney, Director of Operations here for EMS, is here to give his report. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Maloney, Director of Operations, Plum EMS. As always, it's great to be here this evening and good to see some new faces, some that I've known for a while as well. So congratulations to all of you. I look forward to working with you. For the month of December, we actually had a record-setting month. We responded to 287 calls, transported 170 patients. And so that was setting a mark. That was only by 1, but it was still a record for that. We ended up responding to neighboring communities 16 times. 9 of those resulted in transport to the hospital. And we ended up needing mutual aid to come into Plum to help back us up 18 times throughout the month. Now, this was 6.4% of the time that EMS was needed in Plum that we had to ask our neighboring community. But that directly correlates with how busy we were. It was a heck of a month, so the crews were amazing handling the calls that they did. Now, 2023 was a great year, extremely busy for us. Had some of the most difficult calls I've ever had in my career, the Rustic Ridge by far. But with that, we ended up responding to over 3,000 calls, actually 3,141 calls. We transported 1,851 patients. We started over 1,000 IVs, administered just under 1,500 medications, provided an advanced airway placement for 22 patients. We completed 77 free car seat safety checks. We gave away 16 free car seats to families in need. We distributed 7 free cribs to families in need or a safe place for their child to sleep. We coordinated a group effort with the fire departments, police department, the borough here, or the borough administration staff, Concordia Ridgewood, Longwood and Oakmont, Hannah Healthcare, to help the school district set another record for their Stuff a Bus with a toy donation. Now, once again, we had an ambulance full of toys. When I opened up those back doors, they just came falling out, which was so much fun. The employees of Plum EMS raised over $1,000 to participate in the Shop with a Cop program because a lot of them, it was near and dear to them. And so they did a heck of a job raising funds with that. One of our EMTs, Andre Acey, was one of 14 EMTs or EMS professionals throughout the state to get recognized with the Star of Life Award. And Plum EMS, we're actually one of, 12 services from across the country to receive a National Award of Excellence because we were focused on safety. So we had a heck of a year, very proud of our accomplishments, extremely proud of the people that work at Plum EMS because they're the ones there for the community. I can't say enough. So questions, comments, stories to make me smile. Ms. Vicki, did you have?
I just want to congratulate you and your staff because you do a wonderful job. I mean, 3,141 calls and you're outstanding. So congratulations on your awards and thank you for everything you do.
No, I greatly appreciate it. And just speaking of it, lastly, at the end of the month or the beginning of February, you will be receiving your subscription cards. As we do that annual subscription, it's $15 for an individual, that's 15, and $25 for a family. That goes such a long way. At one point in time, it was almost like 10% of our revenue that came from that. Now, one of the benefits that is if a family ever needs EMS or a patient, after we bill insurance, whatever's left over, we cut by 50%. And compared to neighboring communities, 15 for an individual, 25 for a family is minuscule. There's some places they're charging anywhere from $75 to $100. But we're able to do this because of the support and the sponsorship that we get from Plum Boro, the community, from you. And we thank you for that. We hope that all continues, and I appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
One other thing, Brian, I would encourage everyone with their subscriptions, if you're able, you have a chance to buy an extra subscription or two and help out one of your neighbors who may not be as fortunate. If you're able to do that, because these subscriptions are wonderful and they do a great job at the end.
Yeah, there's a lot of people too that make additional donations on top of their subscriptions, and that truly does help us out. We're even starting to develop additional funding for our child safety program, because we used to get free car seats from the state. That ran out. Last year, Erie Insurance was able to set us up with funding, so we were able to buy something like $3,500 worth of car seats. I have 2 left. And so we're going to be kind of pretty much ramping that up to try to develop, additional funding for our child safety program, because that's what gets the car seats and the cribs. That's what helps allow us to go and do 32 hours of training to become a car seat safety technician. Lots of fun with that one, let me tell you. But it's through the help through the community that allows us to do what we do, and we thank everybody for their help. So, anything else?
I would just say in closing, again, just thank you for everything you do, and to the community. Like he said, if you purchase a subscription, after your insurance is billed, you are only the balance due is only 50%. So we have a wonderful EMS, so I would just encourage the community to continue to support them. And thank you.
All right, thank you.
And just a word, Brian, for you and Joe and all the fire departments, you're in good hands with Ms. Rossler. I'm going to miss it, but I'm still going to be involved as much as I can, but you're in good hands.
She already harassed the heck out of me today, so I appreciated it.
Unfortunately, the police are still in Harry's hands, so you're on your own.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Majernik, Planning and Economic Development, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Community Development Department issued 82 permits in December. The Planning Commission met in December to review the following applications. Form architecture application was recommended for approval with conditions. Also, Fox Auto Sales and Service application was tabled as requested by the applicant. And finally, Oakmont Country Club Golf Range and Parking Improvement, Land Development and Conditional Use applications were recommended for approval with conditions and waiver modification requests. The Zoning Hearing Board did not meet in December. The owners of the Plum Creek Mobile Home Park have filed an appeal to the Zoning Hearing Board's decision denying the expansion of a non-conforming use. Staff worked on the following projects: a potential commercial indoor recreation development from FMG, the used car lot and auto repair shops conditional use land development plan at 1950 Greensburg Road, future mapping, MS4 and park projects grants for HRG, and a parking improvement project at Our Lady of Joy Church. Code enforcement completed 91 residential and apartment occupancy inspections and addressed 64 violations and complaints. Additionally, they worked with KU Resources on the asbestos inspection at 4575 New Texas Road, which was the old Borough building. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Majernik. And last but not least, Parks and Recreation, Mr. Jimmy Taylor.
All right, Jim, thank you, Mr. President. Borough parks and bathrooms are closed for the winter. Of course, we all know that. They will reopen in April, just in time for our fishing derby. Routine inspections of the parks will be ongoing throughout the whole winter. Semi-annual Ansel inspections were performed on the EMS and Renton Fire Station and the Community Center range hoods. Updates were performed at the library, including emergency lockdown latches. They were added to the front doors. A bookcase was mounted up to the wall in the entry area. Light bulbs were changed throughout the building. The furnace was serviced and all the filters were changed, and new soap dispensers were also mounted in the bathrooms. There were 11 reported issues from residents regarding missed trash or recycling pickups that were addressed. Our borough HAPs Upcoming events include February 10th, there will be a winter family movie night. I'm not sure what the movie is. March 30th will be the extravaganza at Larry Mills Park. And I also would just like to take this time to welcome our new council members aboard. Looking forward to working with all you guys. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. No one has signed up for public comments on non-agenda items, but if anyone wishes to speak, please come forward now. Okay, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
I have a motion and a second on the floor for adjournment. All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you. Good evening.